2024 has been an amazing year for guitar releases. I think there's been some amazing pedals, some amazing amps, but what we're going to be talking about is the top 10 best electric guitars of the year. Now, this isn't going to be in any sort of specific order. These are just 10 guitars that we thought left an impact on us, I would say.
Yeah, in a busy year of amazing guitars, these are the ones that turned our heads, maybe slightly more than the others, and all in pretty unique ways. And I can't wait to see them.
I can't wait to see them either. So I've enlisted the help of my buddy Ray to go through those guitars, but let's just jump right in, shall we, man?
Let's show the people our guitar choices of 2024.
Let's start with the first one. So kicking things off with maybe the biggest return of the year, that's the Hello Kitty Squier Stratocaster. Now, we don't actually have that one with us today because it was just so popular and it sold out completely as soon as they arrived. But luckily, I did a video on that. I'm going to throw to some footage of playing of it, but I think that was the most welcome return of the year for us, certainly, man.
I have never seen a bunch of guitar people get so excited about a particular instrument, and yeah, you did a video on it. I kind of thought it might be a bit of a fun joke of a guitar, but boy was I wrong.
It still really handles it despite it being, you know, a bright pink guitar with that favourite Sanrio mascot on it. And in all honesty, I can't wait to see some people throw in like a big EMG into that and play them on stage and just absolutely blow everyone away. But
It's ready for it.
Let's check it out and hear it.
Number two, which has magically appeared in my hand here, is a AAA top Gibson Les Paul Standards, which I have here in Cherry Sunburst.
I'm feeling heat off that.
Right,
Just right from here.
This is the most classic of all finishes, of course, for the Les Paul. This year, Kieran and I have seen all manner of incredible Les Pauls. We did the made-to-measure ones.
We did indeed. We also had that beauty of the Brock Burst guitar as well. That was
We did.
just one of the most stunning guitars that we have seen in the office, but we chose to focus on these AAA ones.
Yeah, well, we wanted these ones partly because they are not the kind of like museum pieces. These are relatively affordable. They're within the means of a serious player. They're same price as a normal Les Paul Standard, but goodness me, look at the timbre on that. That's a top for the ages, and you get a few different finishes. I just thought it was nice for us to show off the one that you probably think of most when you consider a Tiger Stripe Les Paul. These are gorgeous, they're in stock now, and yeah, this one's coming home with me.
Why don't you play it for me, man? Let's get a little listen to that one.
Okay, let's have a wee blast on it, shall we? Number three, and something a little different now, it is probably one of the most popular guitars that isn't based on a classic design that we've had all year. It's the Strandberg Essential, which is a way more affordable take on this pretty game-changing guitar. I mean, do you remember when we first got Strandberg? Headless guitars weren't the thing they are now.
No, they're not. They weren't as commonplace as you would expect to see them, and even outside of the usual sort of prog genre that you would usually see them, I think a lot more people are starting to kind of turn around on this particularly sort of, shall we call it, sort of futuristic design even still right now.
It still is, yeah. The ergonomics, and so yeah, Strandberg have always been incredible. They've also often been expensive, like anything that's amazing, but these ones are made to a good chunk less of a price, and you still get the Endure neck, which is one of the real selling points. It's almost squared, it has its own little angle here, so your hand is always in the perfect playing position for extended bouts of proggy noodling. It just feels absolutely amazing. You don't get the fan frets on this particular one, but for some players that might actually be something you prefer. And
I mean, that Astro Dusk, as that finish is called as well.
so glad you remembered its
That's
name.
I think that's my favourite part of it, certainly.
Yeah, right. It's a kind of it's like a powdery, slightly almost metallic looking. I don't know, violet. There's also a black one with the same kind of slightly futuristic metallic thing, and red as well. They're all great. They're very ergonomic, light as a feather, beautiful things to play. Total gear of the year, absolutely.
2024, if you've ever thought about it, this is the best year for you to get into a headless guitar, but let's see how this thing sounds. Moving on to our next guitar, and it is our first acoustic in the list. And unfortunately, I seem to be drawing the short straw today by not having the guitars that I'm talking about
Terrible
with
show.
me. But
Terrible show.
the next choice is the Yamaha Transacoustic, the new one that came out this year. Now,
Updated, yeah.
for anyone who is unaware of what the Transacoustic is, it is a Yamaha acoustic guitar that has got some form of magic in it that
Yes.
gives it reverb, chorus, all directly from the instrument. Well, Yamaha did one better this year, two better technically, and added delay and a looper onto the brand new iteration of the Transacoustic, all by this funny little sensor on the front there that you just hit.
It's incredible.
It's absolutely insane. Now again, don't have it with me today, but I'm just going to cut to the review that we did. We'll check out the sounds there.
Okay, on to number 5. What do I have here, Kieran? This is
The PRS SE-CE 24.
standard with the satin finish. Honestly, we see a lot of guitars, we see a lot of good guitars, we see a lot of good PRS guitars. Most of the time the PRSs are very, very top end. They've always done good SE guitars, good affordable for gigging players out there. This one, oh my goodness, just as a thing to play, the neck, the pickups, the controls, the finish, the curves. I don't think you can do better for the money. I think this is actually one of the best performing guitars available anywhere at this price point. It came out this year. We've got it in this colour. There's a couple more that are...
There is a few of those, like a kind of reddy colour and a much kind of darker colour as well. But PRS have actually been expanding this range as well because it's been doing so well. And I think not only the review I did of it earlier this year, I called it the best value PRS as well, but I actually think the kind of wider guitar world is believing that as well, because PRS actually did a little compilation video that included me in it, which I was quite chuffed about. But
Don't say.
I don't say, but they also seem to, everybody else seems to kind of like repeat that sentiment that it's just for the value for this guitar. I think you'd be really hard pressed to actually find a kind of better like instrument to this caliber.
Performer, and you know, very briefly, PRS seem to spec their guitars halfway between the sort of Fender spec and the Gibson spec. So you've got the 25-inch, you've got the 25-inch scale length, I should say. The frets are, I think it's 10 on a PRS.
Yes.
So everything is kind of middle ground. And for that reason, I would recommend Fender guys, check this out. I would recommend Gibson guys, check this out. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Why don't we check out some sounds though?
Let's do it.
Coming in next, and a guitar that anyone who is subscribed to the Guitar YouTube channel, which that's your reminder there, give it a wee subscribe just down below and come back to the list here. But anybody who has been watching the channel this year will certainly recognise this guitar. This is the Ibanez AZ42P1. And it's one of the only Ibanez names I think I'll ever remember because I've played this guitar so much.
You love that guitar.
This might be, if there wasn't another guitar already in this list, this would be my pick for the year. This was the kind of like the first premium launch of the Ibanez AZ brand. Now you've got Prestige, you've got Premium, and then you've just got like standards kind of below there as well. This was the first iteration of Premium line into the AZ, which is actually quite a new model in the Ibanez catalogue as well. But I don't even think I need to go too much into detail about this. Again, if you've seen any of the other videos, you'll always see me playing this guitar. The amount of sounds I can get from just this one instrument, and just that neck, man. Oh my word. So,
do you know, they should rename this the Ibanez Kieran Hurd Special. But it just shows you, Ibanez makes so many models and so many AZs. There are different combinations of pickups, there are different combinations of woods, and this particular one just gets so many things so right that, yeah, you've played it all year, and so have I, and it's just an excellent all-rounder with a really Moorish quality to it.
so on that note, I'm going to play it some more. Next on our list is the LTD 200DX series. Now, again, didn't have them with us, unfortunately. They're just too damn popular. That's exactly what's going on now. This was relatively, I wouldn't say a major upgrade to the LTD 200 line, but the thing that really surprised me about these guitars, and I don't want to speak for yourself, but I think surprised yourself as well, Ray.
You can speak for me.
Speaking for Ray, he was very surprised about them as well. But the quality of these guitars, again, that's kind of the recurring theme, I would say, probably with 2024 in terms of like the quality of guitars we were getting, because these were all like sub £500 guitars, whatever that is into dollars for any of our American fans who are watching as well. But for a metal guitar, and this is maybe one of our kind of highlight metal guitars of the list as well, they were just put together so well.
Very tight.
They had roasted maple necks, they had not particularly high output pickups, but I think in today's landscape that really suits.
That's the preferred thing right now.
And also just those finishes as well. They just had these absolutely incredible poplar tops on them. And they just, the colours as well, the stunning like purple that was
Very well
bursting through.
Well, you know, Kieran and I we get the boxes, we open the guitars up, we check out the guitars. We're not necessarily thinking about the lineage of the brand or where they fall in price range and so on. These came out of the boxes and were just really impressive and very playable and very cool, and we just took to them and went, these are nice guitars. And that says it all. It wasn't based on how expensive or otherwise they might be, and when the fact out came that they're affordable, then so much the better.
Absolutely. So let's cut and hear some sounds. So as we mentioned earlier, in a year of stunning Gibson releases, we've also seen a stunning year for Fender releases
Haven't we just?
too.
Yes.
We've seen the Ultra 2, we've seen the Jack White collection. That massive panel verb amp was absolutely stunning. But the one we decided to focus on was sort of maybe the bread and butter of the Fender catalogue.
Closer to home for many players.
Yeah, and this is the Player 2 range, which I've chosen this very, very nice Aquatone Blue Stratocaster.
Fetching.
Just, keep it classic. That's the best way to do it.
Love it.
Now, there's obviously been a few upgrades on the Player 2. Not going to delve too much into them, because if you do want to check them out, we've done copious amounts of videos on them if you want to click above my head to check out even just the one I recently just posted as well. But I think just the ever-evolving nature of these guitars to suit modern players, but also to suit classic players as well. I think that's one of the best things about these instruments.
Fender understand their heritage, and they're giving us things like offsets with upgraded electronics, and they're giving us humbuckers and the Telecasters, but everything still has that classic era golden Fender vibe, and that's really what makes these so popular with all of you guys.
And in terms of obviously just kind of bridging the gap, as you said, with the classic Fender, more modern things as well. I think you'll see a lot of these probably on the road over the next maybe, couple of years until they make the Player 3 inevitably, because these are just absolutely solid.
Yeah.
But
reliable, sound great, feel great, look $1 million.
And let's get some sounds out of it. So before we get into me and Ray's personal picks for the year, we've got a couple of honourable mentions that we want to give a shout out to. Number one, Squier Troublemaker. Now this wasn't a new guitar. This was actually a Fender version. It was their alternate reality, sort of like when worlds collide guitars that they made quite a few years ago. But it is now available in a Squier version. And as we were kind of saying about a few guitars in this list, it's not sometimes about the lineage of it, but when a guitar is just really good quality, that's usually the thing that's going to turn our heads.
Yeah, anyone who's ever wanted a cool looking telly with the Tune-o-matic bridge, and that's me and lots of other people, this one really, really hits the marks. Well worth playing.
And the gold is super cool as well.
Next up on our honourable mentions is an unusual guitar for the EVH brand, given that that's Eddie Van Halen's own brand of shred sticks. This one is masterminded by his son Wolfgang, and it's, what do you call that, an offset semi-acoustic?
That's exactly what I would call it.
That's what it is, in fact.
It's a massive guitar.
It's cool, the SA126, and we got that towards the start of the year, and we were super impressed by its performance. It does have that kind of like high performance vibe that the other EVH guitars have, even though visually and sonically it's pretty far removed, and for us that made it a real hit.
Coming in next on the honourable mentions, it's the Epiphone Grabber bass. Now, we're not the biggest bassists, I would say, here. Ray's definitely a little bit more of a...
Yeah, I'm glad you gave me my props there.
He's a bit more of a bass aficionado than me. I'm absolutely just caveman-brained to electric guitar, unfortunately. But
you love this one.
I think it might be my favourite bass. Is it the coolest Gibson bass out? I'm going to put that there.
Ooh, now that, you sprung that on me, and that's not fair. I love the RD bass as well, but yeah, this one that you're about to mention is very, very high.
The Grabber's absolutely awesome. I just absolutely love it, and it's really cool to see it released as an Epiphone version, because it just makes it much more accessible to everybody. Everybody can get that absolutely just like
Gigantic grills.
aggressive rumbling that comes from a grabber. So check that out if you haven't already.
And the last of our honourable mentions before we move on to our personal favourite guitars is an acoustic guitar that you might use when you're summoning Mephisto, or if you're out in the fields with the Celtic Warriors. Yes, indeed. It's Gibson's Jimmy Page SG200s, the 1964 reissue. Goodness gracious, we did strum on that. It was signed by Jimmy Page inside as well. That's not a rubbish day at the office when that shows up.
No, I think that was one of the few acoustics that we've played that I think all the team upstairs heard as well, because the projection on this thing was absolutely incredible. And of course, I just had to do a big Mimi video with my colleague Ryan as well, where we're playing maybe the forbidden riff on it, shall we say, but...
Don't say its name.
I certainly won't, but I think that rounds up our honourable mentions there, man. Why don't we jump into our picks? So in terms of mine and Ray's picks for the year, I'm going to go first. Anybody who is familiar, again, with the Guitar channel, this will be absolutely no surprise to you, but my pick of the year is the Epiphone Shinichi Ubicata ES355. I was so impressed by this particular guitar this year that I bought one.
You did?
I've been looking for a 355 for years and years and years, and just, in all honesty, I didn't want to spend all the money on like a Gibson custom one or something like that. It's, you know, I've got bills to pay for and whatnot. So as soon as I played this Epiphone version here, I was just absolutely blown away. It's loaded with Gibson pickups there. It's got an ebony board on it. It's got the proper Bigsby on it and that baritone as well, which actually I found a lot more use for than I thought I would.
Well, at least someone did. I'm kidding. I'll tell you what though, Kieran, you know, I mean, Kieran plays all kinds of guitars, you know, for his job, and that's one he actually chose to buy. I think that says a lot about it. We're being paid by Epiphone to say that either.
No, certainly not.
I genuinely just really fell for that one.
I did. It ticks so many boxes for me, and I think everybody agrees who ended up buying one as well, just because these have been incredibly popular this year. I didn't go for this really cool olive drab colour. I went for the more kind of classic 60s cherry that it comes in as well.
You were swithering over the black or the reds, and you finally went for the reds.
You know what? See, having the olive drab in my leg now. Oh, I don't know if I should have picked this one, but you know what? Maybe I'll complete the collection next year. But this is the guitar that I would definitely say to anybody, if you're going to pick one to try out, test this one out next time you're in a guitar store, because they're absolutely stunning. Speaking of absolutely stunning...
Why, that was a good segue. This is my favourite guitar of the year, and of course it is. Look at it. Everybody knows this. It's a White Falcon, but what you might not realise is that this is Billy Duffy's signature model for the 8424. Now that means 40 years of the Cult and 40 years of Billy playing the White Falcon. And of course, a shameless plug, I spoke to my pal Billy last month for a special guitar feature, so please do hit the link below and you'll go straight to that conversation. This is a piece of beautiful artwork. All Gretsches are cool, that's obvious. This one has the biggest body, like a country club. It has the Baldwin era smaller F-holes. It has the higher gain pickups so that you can do some proper rocking and or rolling on it, and it has the cool, I don't know what they call it, the Chet Atkins tremolo arm.
I would call it that
the squiggly,
one,
the squiggly one.
Depends on what day of the week it is.
Right, and as I just showed you, it's got Billy's hand scroll signature on the back. It's absolutely awesome. I love it. This is my guitar of the year, and yes, you can have one if you wish.
Like, sometimes, you know, it just doesn't get better than a White Falcon, but just the changes that Billy had made to that for this new signature.
He knows his Falcons, and this is the way he likes it, so I reckon if he approves of it, this is how it should be.
So that rounds out our top 10 electric guitar picks for the year. As we said right at the start, there are so many that we couldn't mention just in this video because we would have been here all day. So for all the ones that we didn't mention, pop them in the comments section down below. I definitely think there'll be some that in there that will go, oh my god, we should have talked about that as well.
Always
But
the case,
you know what?
but,
We might do a revised version of this in January to mention all those other ones. But
Is that an invitation?
maybe,
Well,
but
I reckon those 10 that we had, sorry to interrupt you, but that's one heck of a list anyway. You
That's-
got to admit, for any year, look at everything we looked at today.
there's so many. If you had that in a backline, I don't think you would be angry. But
I'm not going to get mad about that.
no, certainly not. But as we said, pop all your recommendations for the gear of the year down in the comments below and give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already, because you can keep up with all the latest news at Guitar HQ. But until next time, I've been Kieran.
I have been Ray.
This has been a look at our top 10 electric guitars of 2024. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.